Stories and Documentary Network.
Beyond the reaches of our solar system, in the cold abyss of the cosmos lies a shadow, not of darkness, but of mystery. A planet, a myth, a warning. Its name is Nibiru. For decades, the name Nibiru has echoed through science fiction novels, conspiracy theories, internet forums, and even academic debates. Often called Planet X, it represents one of the most captivating modern legends. The tale of a rogue planet orbiting our sun on an elongated, mysterious path hidden beyond Pluto's cold realm. A planet that, according to some, holds the key to human origins, and perhaps our end. But what is Nibiru? Is it a figment of our imagination, a mistranslation of ancient texts, or a real celestial body lurking in the shadows of our solar system? To understand Nibiru, we must journey not just into space, but back in time, to the cradle of civilization. The roots of the Planet X theory can be traced back to the 19th and 20th centuries, when astronomers began noticing anomalies in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune. These gravitational oddities suggested the existence of an undiscovered celestial body, a hypothetical Planet X tugging subtly at the planet's paths. Searches for Planet X led to the discovery of Pluto in 1930, but Pluto was too small to account for the observed gravitational forces. The mystery persisted. Then in the late 20th century, the idea took a dramatic turn. No longer just an astronomical curiosity, Planet X became something far more dramatic. Nibiru, a planet that doesn't just orbit our sun, but visits the inner solar system every few thousand years, bringing with it great cataclysms, changes in climate, or even contact with alien civilizations. This concept struck a deep nerve, igniting the imagination of a public increasingly skeptical of official narratives. A hidden planet, a cover-up, ancient secrets. The modern image of Nibiru is largely the product of the work of Zecharia Sitchin, an Azerbaijani-American author and researcher who rose to prominence in the 1970s. In his groundbreaking and controversial book, The 12th Planet, 1976, Sitchin presented a radical interpretation of Sumerian and Akkadian texts. According to Sitchin, the word Nibiru, which appears in Babylonian cosmology, referred not to a star or known planet, but to an unknown planet that travels through the solar system on a highly elliptical orbit. Sitchin identified Nibiru as the home of the Anunnaki, deities of Sumerian mythology whom he claimed were actually extraterrestrial beings. According to his narrative, the Anunnaki visited Earth tens of thousands of years ago in search of gold, a precious element they needed to repair the atmosphere of their dying planet. To assist in their mining efforts, they allegedly created Homo sapiens through genetic engineering, combining their own DNA with that of early hominids. Sitchin's theories were compelling to many because they appeared to offer an alternative explanation for the origins of humanity, the sudden rise of civilization in Mesopotamia, and the recurring themes of sky gods, divine knowledge, and cosmic events found in ancient myths from cultures around the world. However, his ideas have been met with widespread criticism from mainstream scholars. Linguists and Assyriologists have pointed out that Sitchin's translations of Sumerian and Akkadian texts are highly inaccurate. For instance, the word Nibiru in ancient texts often referred to a celestial crossing point, or a specific planetary body like Jupiter or Mercury, depending on the context, not a hidden 12th planet. Despite this, the narrative of Nibiru as a rogue planet with alien origins took hold in the popular imagination. One of the reasons Nibiru continues to captivate both scientists and conspiracy theorists is its unique position at the intersection of astronomy, mythology, and speculative history. On one hand, the scientific search for undiscovered planets, like the ongoing investigations into Planet 9, lends a veneer of legitimacy to the idea that something unknown might be lurking in the far reaches of the solar system. On the other hand, Nibiru, as envisioned by Sitchin and later theorists, offers a compelling narrative of forgotten history, lost knowledge, and hidden truths. Conspiracy theorists have expanded upon Sitchin's ideas, connecting Nibiru to a wide range of phenomena, including pole shifts, global cataclysms, and government cover-ups. In the early 2000s, the myth reached a fever pitch with predictions that Nibiru would collide with Earth or pass dangerously close, triggering apocalyptic events. These claims were most famously linked to the 2012 doomsday scenario, tied to misinterpretations of the Mayan calendar. Despite multiple public denials by NASA and a lack of scientific evidence, the theory continued to flourish online. Part of the enduring appeal of the Nibiru legend lies in its capacity to challenge mainstream narratives. For many, it represents the possibility that human history is deeper and more mysterious than we have been led to believe, that perhaps our ancestors were not alone, and that ancient civilizations had knowledge and contact with forces beyond Earth. For scientists, the search for distant celestial bodies remains a serious endeavor grounded in data and observation. Yet even among the most skeptical, the unknown still invites wonder. Could there be a planet hidden in the dark, outer reaches of the solar system? Could a deeper understanding of ancient cosmology reveal insights long overlooked? Throughout the ruins of ancient civilizations, from the ziggurats of Mesopotamia to the pyramids of Egypt and the temples of Mesoamerica, a recurring motif emerges: gods descending from the skies. These beings, often depicted as bringers of knowledge, agriculture, and technology, have fascinated historians and mythologists for centuries. In the realm of alternative history and speculative theory, these celestial figures are not gods at all, but ancient astronauts, advanced beings from another world, perhaps even from a hidden planet such as Nibiru. Among these stories, the most well-known and controversial is that of the Anunnaki, the pantheon of deities revered in ancient Sumer, considered by many to be the first organized civilization in human history. Anunnaki appears in the earliest Sumerian writings, dating back over 5,000 years to the city-states of southern Mesopotamia. They were considered powerful deities associated with the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. The name Anunnaki roughly translates to those who came down from the heavens, or princely offspring of Anu, referring to Anu, the supreme god of the sky in the Sumerian pantheon. In the original texts, such as the Enuma Elish, Atrahasis, and various hymns and king lists, the Anunnaki are depicted as divine administrators of the cosmos. They play roles in creating the world, forming humanity, and decreeing the fates of kings and cities. The mythology is rich and metaphorical, yet some researchers argue that these stories conceal a more literal history. Zecharia Sitchin, in his reinterpretation of these ancient texts, suggested that the Anunnaki were not mythological deities, but a technologically advanced alien species from a distant planet, Nibiru. According to his theory, Nibiru enters the inner solar system every 3,600 years, and during one of these flybys, the Anunnaki came to Earth in search of gold, which they required to sustain their planet's atmosphere. Sitchin claimed that the Anunnaki first landed in the Persian Gulf region and established their base of operations in what would become Mesopotamia. To aid in the extraction of gold from mines, particularly in southern Africa, they allegedly created modern humans by genetically modifying early hominids. The result was Homo sapiens, a hybrid worker species designed for labor and subservience. While mainstream scholars reject these claims, pointing to flawed translations and lack of archaeological evidence, the theory resonates with those who see inconsistencies or gaps in the conventional timeline of human development. Why, for instance, did urban civilization, writing, and complex astronomy appear so suddenly in Sumer, seemingly without a gradual buildup? Could these advancements have been introduced by an external intelligence? Sumerian texts offer tantalizing references that continue to spark debate. For example, the Sumerian king list describes kings who ruled for tens of thousands of years before a great flood, a narrative echoed in the biblical story of Noah. These impossibly long reigns are often dismissed as symbolic, but alternative theorists suggest they may reflect a different understanding of time, or perhaps lifespans of non-human beings. The Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic, introduces Marduk, sometimes associated with Nibiru, as a celestial power who defeats the primordial chaos represented by Tiamat. While traditional interpretations see this as a symbolic myth of order triumphing over chaos, Sitchin and others argue it may encode an astronomical event, possibly a celestial collision or realignment. Another curious element is the Atrahasis epic, which includes a narrative of the gods creating humans because they grew weary of manual labor. The gods first create humans from clay mixed with the blood of a slain god, a metaphor perhaps for genetic manipulation? To Sitchin's followers, this is a direct reference to alien intervention in early biology. Cylinder seals, such as the famous VA-243 from the Berlin Museum, are often cited by ancient astronaut theorists. The seal appears to show a solar system with 12 celestial bodies, more than known to the Sumerians at the time, and is interpreted by some as evidence that these ancient people had knowledge of planets not discovered until modern times. However, mainstream experts argue that these interpretations are speculative and that the seal is misidentified. Nevertheless, the consistency and sophistication of Mesopotamian cosmology, with its detailed star maps, alignment with planetary cycles, and mathematical precision, continue to impress and puzzle modern researchers. The Anunnaki are not the only celestial beings described in ancient traditions. In fact, similar stories of sky gods, divine intervention, and advanced beings arriving from the heavens appear across civilizations that had no known contact with each other. Egypt. The gods who ruled before pharaohs. Ancient Egyptian mythology speaks of the Neteru, a pantheon of powerful gods, many of whom were associated with the stars and cosmic realms. One particularly striking concept is that of Zep-Tepi, the first time, a mythical golden age when gods ruled Egypt directly. According to ancient texts, this was an era of great knowledge, architecture, and cosmic alignment, a time when the gods walked among men. The alignment of the pyramids of Giza with Orion's belt and the astronomical layout of temples such as Abu Simbel and Karnak have led some to argue that the ancient Egyptians were guided by knowledge beyond their time, perhaps inherited from a lost civilization or given by visitors from the stars. India. Flying chariots and celestial weapons. In ancient Indian texts like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, we find elaborate descriptions of vimanas, flying chariots capable of traversing the skies and even space. These vehicles were said to be piloted by gods and heroes and powered by mysterious technologies. The texts also mention weapons resembling modern missiles and energy beams, suggesting a level of technological knowledge that seems anachronistic. The Hindu gods, like the Anunnaki, often descend from the heavens, dwell in star-like realms, and engage in battles that resemble wars not only of Earth, but of the cosmos. Mesoamerica. Quetzalcoatl and the Star People. In pre-Columbian Mesoamerica, the Mayans and Aztecs told stories of gods who came from the sky, such as Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. He was described as a bringer of knowledge, agriculture, and civilization. Strikingly, he was also said to have promised a return from the stars. The Popol Vuh, a sacred text of the Quiche Maya, describes the creation of humanity by sky beings who sought to fashion a race capable of worship and productivity. These stories, much like those from Sumer, involve failed attempts before succeeding in making true humans. Some interpretations link these legends with star alignments, such as those found in the ruins of Teotihuacan, which mirror the belt of Orion, similar to Egyptian pyramids. Once again, we see an obsession with celestial patterns, divine descent, and contact from the heavens. Taken individually, these stories could be dismissed as myth or metaphor. But when seen together, across time and continents, a pattern emerges. Ancient civilizations, often considered isolated and primitive, shared core elements in their creation myths. Beings from the sky or stars arrive on Earth. These beings possess advanced knowledge and technology. Humanity is created, taught, or genetically modified by these entities. The gods promise to return, or are associated with cyclical cosmic events. Could this global consistency point to a shared memory of a distant reality? One involving contact with a more advanced civilization, perhaps from another planet? Skeptics argue that these similarities arise from common human psychological archetypes, a shared fascination with the stars, and the symbolic language used to explain natural phenomena. However, ancient astronaut theorists propose an alternative view, that these stories are cultural echoes of real encounters with beings from beyond Earth. The ancient astronaut hypothesis challenges the linear narrative of human history. It suggests that our ancestors were not alone, that they were guided, shaped, or even created by intelligences from the stars. The Anunnaki of Sumer, the gods of Egypt, the Vimana pilots of India, and the star beings of Mesoamerica may all represent different interpretations of the same phenomenon. While the theory remains controversial and evidence remains circumstantial, it compels us to look again at the myths of the ancient world, not as mere fantasies, but perhaps as distorted memories of a forgotten chapter in human history. Could Nibiru, the supposed home of the Anunnaki, be more than just myth? And if so, what might its return mean for the future of humanity? If we dare to imagine that Nibiru, the elusive and controversial Planet X, truly exists, we are compelled to ask deeper questions. What kind of civilization could arise on such a distant, mysterious world? What would life be like under a different sun, on a planet with an elongated orbit that takes thousands of years to complete a revolution around our solar system? According to those who believe in the Nibiru hypothesis, this planet is not just a barren rock drifting in space. It is, or once was, home to an ancient, highly advanced species, the Anunnaki. In this chapter, we explore what their civilization might have looked like, their society, language, political structures, technology, and their alleged role in altering the destiny of humanity. To understand the civilization of Nibiru, we must imagine a planet with conditions quite different from our own. With a long elliptical orbit, possibly bringing it both closer to and farther from the sun than any known planet, Nibiru would experience extreme variations in climate. These environmental cycles may have forced its inhabitants to develop resilient technologies and adaptive societies capable of surviving long periods of darkness and cold, followed by bursts of solar proximity and heat. In such an environment, unity, hierarchy, and technological dependency would be vital for survival. Speculative accounts suggest that the Nibiruan civilization evolved into a technocratic monarchy, a blend of centralized political authority and scientific governance. The ruling elite, often personified in Sumerian mythology as gods and goddesses like Enki, Enlil, and Ninhursag, may have represented both political leaders and high-ranking scientists or engineers. Nibiru's society would likely be class-structured, with the royal or priest-scientist class governing the planet's affairs, followed by a professional or administrative class and a working or servitor class. Their society, if ancient Sumerian records are to be believed, was deeply concerned with cosmic law, genetic purity, and ritual, reflecting a civilization both spiritually sophisticated and scientifically advanced. The Anunnaki, according to some interpretations of Sumerian texts, communicated in a complex symbolic language, possibly telepathic or based on harmonic frequencies. Their script, if mirrored in the earliest cuneiform, may have carried more than phonetic value, encoding mathematical, astronomical, and genetic information. Linguists who delve into ancient Mesopotamian tablets note the obsessive attention to stars, time, and divine order. This suggests that Nibiruan culture, like many ancient Earth civilizations, saw language not merely as a tool of communication, but as a bridge between physical reality and higher dimensions. Their symbols, often linked to stars, serpents, and spirals, may have reflected a cosmology where life, light, and consciousness were intertwined, and where language had the power to manifest reality. The political structure of Nibiru, based on extrapolations from Sumerian epics and royal lists, may have resembled a dynastic system, where power was passed down through genetically distinct lineages, possibly the same lineages that established divine kingship on Earth. Enlil, often depicted as the ruler of the heavens, governed Nibiru's empire with a strict, law-abiding approach, focused on order and discipline. His brother Enki was more experimental and curious, a scientist and geneticist who is said to have played a key role in the creation of humanity. Their sister Ninhursag was a master of bioengineering and healing. This triad may have formed the core of Nibiru's ruling council, a balance between authority, intellect, and care. Their political system may have operated through a combination of meritocratic selection and bloodline entitlement, all guided by a celestial code of ethics derived from natural law. If the Anunnaki were able to reach Earth from a distant planet, their technology would have to be vastly superior to ours. Speculation suggests that they possessed anti-gravity and electromagnetic propulsion systems. Their crafts, known in ancient texts as fiery chariots, could ascend vertically, maneuver at high speeds, and resist gravitational fields. This suggests mastery of zero-point energy or magneto-gravitic propulsion, technologies only now being hypothesized by modern physicists. Terraforming and atmospheric engineering. Some theories propose that the Anunnaki came to Earth in search of gold not for wealth, but to suspend nanoparticle gold in their atmosphere, possibly as a reflective shield to stabilize climate or repair ozone-like layers. This hints at a deep knowledge of planetary ecosystems and climate control. Quantum communication. If Nibiru had long orbital cycles that removed it from immediate contact with Earth, their communication methods may have included entangled particles or frequency-based transmissions, allowing them to remain in sync across vast distances. Artificial intelligence and robotics. Legends from multiple civilizations describe mechanical beings, automatons, or helpers of the gods. These could represent AI-driven machines or robotic assistants designed to aid in construction, mining, or genetic research. Time and dimensional travel. Some interpretations suggest the Anunnaki were not only interstellar travelers, but interdimensional as well. They may have understood time not as a linear flow, but as a navigable landscape, allowing them to influence or observe various timelines. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of the Nibiru hypothesis is the idea that the Anunnaki genetically engineered modern humans. According to the Atrahasis and Enuma Elish, the gods created mankind to relieve themselves of hard labor. The story describes how humans were fashioned from clay mixed with the blood of a god. A poetic metaphor, some argue, for a fusion of Earth-based primate DNA and Nibiruan genetic material. Sitchin proposed that the Anunnaki modified early hominids through direct genetic intervention, possibly using CRISPR-like gene editing technologies, hybrid cloning, or artificial insemination. The result was Homo sapiens, a conscious, tool-using species capable of language, emotion, and obedience. Interestingly, modern science has found that Homo sapiens emerged rapidly, with a sudden leap in brain size, tool use, and symbolic thinking around 200,000 years ago, a time frame not inconsistent with Sitchin's suggested events. Further support for this theory, according to some proponents, can be found in our so-called junk DNA, vast sections of the human genome with no currently known function. Could this be latent programming or remnants of genetic manipulation? If the Anunnaki left traces of their technology, where are they? Some researchers point to Earth's megalithic structures, from the pyramids of Egypt to the megaliths of Baalbek, as possible remnants of alien or Anunnaki engineering. Baalbek's trilithon features stones weighing over 1,000 tons, aligned with celestial markers. According to legend, these platforms were used as launch pads for the gods' sky chariots. The Great Pyramid's internal geometry, alignment with Orion's belt, and resonance chambers may indicate that it served a technological purpose, perhaps energy generation or interstellar signaling, rather than just being a tomb. Energy, for the Anunnaki, would have likely come from zero-point fields, crystalline harmonics, or Earth's own electromagnetic grid. Ancient sites across the globe sit on ley lines, invisible paths of geomagnetic energy that may have been used to power devices or enable communication. On Nibiru itself, structures could have ranged from underground cities protected from radiation to orbiting space platforms and fusion reactors capable of sustaining life during long stretches away from sunlight. To travel between Nibiru and Earth, a journey possibly spanning billions of kilometers, would require incredible speed and energy. This supports the theory that the Anunnaki utilized wormholes, gravitational slingshots, or stargates, enabling instantaneous or near light-speed travel across space. Sumerian texts refer to the Anunnaki descending from the heavens, and returning to the abode of the gods. If these stories are based in reality, they may describe orbital rendezvous with mother ships, hidden satellites, or interdimensional portals. Some theorists suggest that the Anunnaki did not come to Earth directly from Nibiru each time, but established colonies or outposts on Mars, the Moon, or even within Earth itself. Hollow Earth legends or inner Earth myths may stem from such origins. The civilization of Nibiru, as envisioned through the lens of Sumerian myth and alternative history, was one of awe-inspiring knowledge and control over nature. If the Anunnaki were real, they were not gods, but scientists, explorers, and rulers from a world that defies conventional cosmology. While mainstream science dismisses these ideas as fringe speculation, the consistency of ancient myths and the unanswered mysteries of human origin keep the door open. As we advance in our own technology, venturing into gene editing, artificial intelligence, and space travel, we find ourselves walking a path eerily similar to what the Anunnaki may have walked long ago. Could it be that we are not only their creation, but their legacy?